Forde from Yahoo Sports, the national college columnist, joining us, and he's got a local story now, being a Louisville native. How long has this been brewing? What's going on with Rick Pitino, Pat?
Speaking of doing a whole lot of something, there's been something going on here. I first heard about the book end of August, Dan, and I met with the publishers and Yahoo. We actually arranged to get the first copy of the book. So you knew it was coming from then. The university knew it was coming at that point, and I think started to work on their own investigation then, and the book's timetable actually got accelerated. The book wasn't supposed to come out till mid-October, till probably last week. It got pushed up, came out October 2nd. Kind of went away because it came out on a Friday, and then now it's kind of come back with a vengeance off this ESPN report.
How does Pitino keep his job? How does he lose his job?
If he keeps his job, yep. Andre McGee comes out, or the NCAA findings come out and say Rick Pitino had no idea any of this was going on, which is what he has said, and the university stands behind him. So far, the indication is the university wants to stand behind him, or at least athletic director Tom Jurich does, but the public, I think, support is eroding pretty quickly. I think this latest round, what came out yesterday on ESPN, I think a lot of people were hoping this wasn't going to be true, and after that they're saying, oh, this probably is true, and there's a lot of people that just want to say, let's start over.
You got a nose for this. You're a great reporter. You believe Pitino knew or didn't know?
I don't think he knew, based on just knowing. I've known him for 25 years, and being around him, I was in his office yesterday, in fact. I was one of the couple of people that talked to him, and he's either really, really good at pretending he was blindsided, shocked, disgusted, appalled by all this, or he really was. I talked to him the day after. We wrote the first story, and I talked to him the next day, and he was pretty blown away, I think, by what had come out. His reputation as a micromanager, I think, has become a little bit mythology in the last few years.
Okay.
Hello?
Yeah.
No, he had started to lose, I think, a little bit of the hands-on day-to-day stuff as he got a little bit older, and so I think it's theoretically possible, but some of this was going on without him knowing it.
Yeah, I was saying, because I had, these guys are all, great coaches are all control freaks, and the fact that you have a basketball dorm for these kids, and I tell me about Andre McGee. Tell me this character, what he's all about.
Well, he was a pretty good player, starting point guard for a year or two, 4-year guy, pretty popular with the fans because he played hard and played relatively intelligently. Was playing overseas in Germany, got cut, called Pitino and said, hey, I want to get into coaching. He said, okay, come back, be a grad assistant. And then he moved up to director of basketball operations. Generally, I think most people thought pretty highly of him around town and within the program, but clearly he must have had some people fooled because, it seems very, very credible that something was going on and that he was certainly up to his neck in it. Was there too much trust maybe placed in him? I don't know. That looks like it could be the case.
All right, but where did this money come from? Because assistants aren't, paid like head coaches here, and if you're talking $15,000 or $20,000, that's a lot of money to be entertaining recruits. Granted, it's over a 4-year span.
Yeah, it's a 4-year span. According to the book, it's $10,000, so it's $2,500 a year, which is not exorbitant money. Now, does that mean it wasn't coming from somewhere else? No, I don't know, and that's one thing people have said. Is Andre McGee is a tightwad. So would he spend $2,500 a year of his own money on this? Maybe not. Maybe he's getting it from a booster. Maybe he's getting it from another assistant who has a, bigger salary or something like that. I don't know. But, that's one thing that's been put out there that I think you look at it, if you do the math, $2,500 divided by, $2,500 a year, most people can afford to spend that.
Yeah, I just don't know if he would, and why would he do it? To impress Pitino that he could get these recruits? I would think Pitino, because of who he is in that basketball crazy state and the success of Louisville's program, is going to get a lot of the guys that he wants to get. Would it take, I'm going to hook you up with somebody to get you to go to Louisville?
I would be surprised, but, you know, who knows? And the other thing is, I mean, Louisville is one of those places where there's plenty of women that are willing to throw themselves at players. So, I mean, on a lot of levels, it doesn't make much sense. But on another level, you could look and say, okay, Antonio Blakeney, named in the book, visited, allegedly had sex with, you know, stripper, prostitute, whatever, committed to Louisville. Jaquan Lyle, named in the book, allegedly had sex with stripper, prostitute, committed to Louisville. So maybe that was working from a recruiting standpoint, but maybe there was other reasons involved. They both eventually decommitted, but it's interesting that both of them were did commit shortly after visits.
And did it only go on during recruiting? So once I recruited you, then there were no other parties that went on?
Well, that's a good question. I don't know. I mean, you know, there certainly were, you know, current players that were involved in these parties, but were they only recruiting parties? I don't know. I mean, you know, it's hard to say. Shane Bohannon, who's named in the book, was, I think, involved in a lot of stuff, and I don't know whether that was, you know, I think that kind of went on for the entirety of his time at Louisville, so I don't know whether it was a regular ongoing thing or just a recruiting thing.
Great to catch up with you, Pat. And the great part about this scandal is you don't have to travel, get on a plane. You can just go over to campus.
Just drive down to campus, and there it is, the mushroom cloud hovering, yeah.
Thank you, Pat.
All right, thanks.
That's Pat Forde from Yahoo Sports.